Okay, we're going to install the emergency brake cable so that we can put the exhaust system over it. First thing you have to do is make sure that these move easily on the cable, because the spring has to be able to release the parking brake. And if these are stuck, or if you can get them one way and they don't pull back, you're going to have your parking brake shoes engaged to the parking brake drum, and that's not a good thing. So I've done that on both sides. Next thing is, as I stated yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, there's the pulley on the transmission cross member, and that needs to be tightened with 2 3/4 inch wrenches. So I'm going to do that right now. Probably used a battery operated ratchet on here. This one, oh, there's a lip on here. Yeah, a socket would have been better. There's a lip on there that's preventing the wrench from going on easily. So a socket with a thin enough wall to fit past that lip would have been a better choice. On the other side, it doesn't seem to be running into that problem. Thought this would have been quicker. I don't think there was as many turns with the wrench. Okay, that's tight. The pulley still has to be able to spin. Now, right here is the other end of that cable, and the cable that I showed you where it has to slide has to be able to run through here in order to be connected. And then after you get it run through there, this spring has to go into a hole on the frame, and that provides some of the pull to release the parking brake. Trying to identify, okay, there's the cross member, and once you get that cable all hooked up, should wear my hard hat. This spring has to go into that hole, and it's just a curved end on it that just hooks in. And that's going to be fun to try and pull that. But first we got to get the rest of the cables hooked up, and the easiest way to do that, dang, should have worn that hard hat. Easiest way to do that is to take the wheels off. So I'm going to be putting the lift down to where I can work on the wheels and take those off. I have here the old parking brake lever, and this goes inside the drum, the part that's in my hand, and this is what you see. Okay, and I'm going to go demonstrate how that ball fits in there. It's pretty simple, really. All you have to do is take this ball and fit it in that U-shaped area there. I'm going to try to show you where that is on the car, but it's very difficult to see, so I don't know if I'm going to be successful. The cable's going to have to come up from under the car because this is part of what holds the rigid part of the cable, and it comes up behind the trailing arm and goes through another bracket like that in the thing, and they've got a slot in them so that the cable will go through, so that you don't have to thread the cable through the hole. Now, if I can get in here, way in the back there, okay, there's the white plastic thing you see here. The cable has to go through that, and then way in the back, beyond that, there is there's the piece that I showed you looking through that bracket there. That's what you got to hook that ball around. So I'm not going to be able to video me trying to hook that in, but I'll let you know how difficult it was. Okay, it took a long time to get to where I am. Trying to get a video of the where the cable goes in through that plastic U-shaped thing, and I hope it's still in there. I have to take a better look without the camera. Okay, so there's the cable going through that plastic U-shape. I didn't think I'd lost it because it went in with a pretty loud click. I don't think it would come out by itself. Now, what I've got to do is there's the bracket that I have to get the ball into, and I'm pulling on the cable from the back, and it's hard to do now that that thing's bent. I'm going to have to put the camera down and do that with two hands, I think. But I'm going to try to pull it so that I can see the ball. It's in there. But just can't see it right now. So it turns out if you push and pull on it straight, it pulls pretty easily. But I couldn't do it from the angle I had here. Now what I'm going to do is try to hook that ball and pull it behind that bracket. This would have been much easier to do had I done it before I put the calipers on, but I put the calipers on when the frame was on the ground, and it is what it is. I don't want to disconnect all my wires and everything, or cables, lines. In order to take that off. There. I can get in there. So pretty much have the ball far enough in that I can pull it down. And into that bracket. This would be easier if I wasn't trying to do it with my left hand and hold the camera with my right and try to look at the camera to see if I'm aimed at the right spot. I did this before with my right hand before I connected up the cable, and it was pretty easy. Let's see if I can hold the camera with my left and work with my right. I don't know if that's going to be any better. No idea if I'm trying to look through the viewfinder of the camera to see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to give up on video on this. There you have it. It took about 30 seconds once I put the camera down and used both hands. I do have to pull that cable tight so that it doesn't fall out while I'm working on it. And back in there, I have to get one of those Mickey Mouse ear clamps behind that, in that bracket, to hold the cable on. And I will show you the other end of that cable that I already have a Mickey Mouse ear clamp. That's the Mickey Mouse ear clamp on the bracket on the trailing arm. And down here is the one I showed you from underneath. I have to get that straight and get a clamp in there. The Mickey Mouse ears. I just had two of them. There they are. Just so you see what I'm talking about when I say Mickey Mouse ears. This part of the clamp has to go over, and these two bump outs fit on a groove in that cable, and that's why I call them Mickey Mouse ears. So I think I found the easy way to do it. What I did, and this is what I'm going to do on the other side, I'm not even going to try to put that cable in both of those brackets. I'm going to put it in one, put the Mickey Mouse ear on, and then I took this bracket off, put the cable through it, the Mickey Mouse ears went right on, and now I have at least something more substantial that I can pull on and use for leverage to put the mounting bracket back up. Still not the easiest, but it's a whole lot easier than the way I was doing it. And that's on. Now, one other thing to mention here is make sure when you're doing this that you're not rubbing that cable on your brake line so that it wears through. But this side is done. I'm going to go do the other side. As I said, I'm going to attempt it a different way. And I don't know, maybe I'll video some of that now, since I think it's going to be a lot easier. Okay, this hasn't been as easy as I'd hoped on this side, but what I've done is I've taken the bracket off and I've got that end hanging loose. There's the bracket. And I've got the cable on this end in to where it's past the groove where the mouse ears go. I don't know if I can find where I put that clip. I just had it in my hand. There it is. I'm going to try to get this in while there's no pressure on it from either side. And the one I did underneath, I was able to push in with my hand. This one is a little bit bent, so it's going to need a little coaxing with a hammer. Okay, so that one is on. Now what I will do is line up the cable with that U-shaped nylon guide, put it in there, and then pull the ball past the bracket like I did on the other side. I had done that once, but in trying to put this on, it fell off. So I think the way to go is put this on first, those two next, and then attach the bracket here to that, and then put that up with the screws. At least that's what I'm gonna try. And I was pointing at stuff and you didn't see it. So this is the cable I was pointing at that we're going to put the bracket on here. Sorry, it goes like that. It's pretty easy to get on all the way, and you can slip the Mickey Mouse ears behind it pretty easily. But I'm going to shut off the camera now and put this into that guide and hook it into the loop on the other side. This guide is not as tight as the one on the other side, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem. But I think once I get the ball hooked into the U-shaped bracket, I think I'll be okay. Okay, I'm going to try to put this clamp on. I'm not working at the best angle, and these Mickey Mouse ears were a little bent because they were used. New ones would have been better, but I don't have new ones. But once you do that, you can get that on pretty good. You have a good shot at the I'm putting this on wrong. This needs to go through this way. So be very careful you get it on in the right orientation, because this is going to then have to go up into those holes, and that cable's got to go toward the front of the car. So since this is loose now, it's a little easier to work with than when you're fighting that cable. So at least for this part of it, the other one went in really easy on the other side. So stands to reason that because I'm trying to demonstrate this, it's going to be difficult for me. I just pushed on it and it went in. Of course, I was working at a better angle because I was under the car and had it lined up better. There must be some trick with these ears, and I tried before with needle nose pliers to squeeze that, and it may or may not have helped whenever I did it. I'm going to go under the car and try to push that on from under there. We'll see if it... Trying to find the cable, see if it's in the frame. I should have raised the lift up so that I could stand up better under here, but that would have required me to move the camera, so I didn't do it. Can't figure out why it went on so easy before. There you go. It's just a matter of getting the right angle on it. And with trying to video it, it wasn't working. So now I have to bend this and get these bolts started. Again, not an easy task to do, especially when you're at an awkward angle. Really should have raised that lift. I'm having trouble crawling out from under it. Okay. Boy. That isn't easy to bend. I am going to shut off the camera and fuss with that until I get it on. Sometimes all you need to do is move the camera so you can get a better leverage. That took less than a minute once I moved the camera. It got some leverage on it. That is only the first bolt, but I've raised the lift and hopefully that will give me a better shot at getting this in the right way. And I think that's started. If I can reach my ratchet here, I'll find out for sure. For some reason I can't get the socket in on that one. no wrench. Okay. I'm going to do a real quick check to make sure that those things haven't slipped off. And let's see if we can get the center cable hooked up. So I went under there to connect the cable that comes from the parking brake lever to the cable that goes to the rear parking brakes, and it wasn't reaching. And the first thing I did, I gave a good hard yank on the cable that goes to the rear brakes, and it moved some. And it still wouldn't reach. And then it occurred to me, I didn't know what position the parking brake lever was in. So this little bracket, I hope I'm showing it to you. Notice it's curved. That has to curve the way the back thing goes, and it goes and connects to the rod that's attached to the end of the parking brake lever inside the cabin or the passenger compartment. So there are two nuts on here, and I think they were on wrong on the from somebody else working on the car, because they had one on each side of this bracket. And if you do that, the bracket will compress and pinch the cable. And I don't think that's what you want to do, because the cable needs to be able to slide to center itself by itself. So I'm just gonna see what kind of it's a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna see if I can hold this with my hand to keep it from turning, and just pull up some of the slack. Yep. I may have to adjust this later, but what I will do when I adjust it is I'll put the wheels on, and without the parking brake set, I will tighten it so that the wheels don't turn, and then I will take the and loosen it just until they turn. I'll call it a day. So this second nut is just a jam nut to keep it from coming loose. So I'm holding the first nut with a wrench, and Damn that. Now, one last thing to do. There's a hole in the shaft. Here's a spring. This is the end I'm putting in the hole in the rod on the brake cable that comes from the passenger compartment, and this goes into the frame up here. I'm not sure which way is going to be easier to stretch it out, but I'll try to grab that with a pair of pliers and pull it and insert it into that cable. Might be easier to put it in the frame second. So let me see, can I get it in there? We'll try it that way since the first try didn't work. That's not working either. Got to get there's a fair amount of tension on this thing. Let me try it the first way again. Well, that's going to be what I'm going to be trying to do until I get it in there. So if this try doesn't work, I'm going to shut the camera off and work on this until I get it. It's hard to get it around that bend. Okay, so I put it in that side first. I got a pair of vice grips and I put it right at the corner here so that it wouldn't spin in the vice grips. And about 5 seconds I stretched it out, tilted it in, let it go. So that's the ticket.
Like I said, I may have to adjust that later, but that's another job for another day.